This is Mike with Murphy's Lawn and Landscape, and you're listening to the Man with Many Hats on the Lawn Care Business Success Podcast.
You're listening to the Lawn Care Business Success Podcast,
the weekly show sharing proven methods and systems
in marketing, equipment, and customer service, educational and motivational,
to help make your lawn care business
an overwhelming success.
Now here's your host,
Julio Tomei. Welcome, Lawn Care Nation, to another episode of the Lawn Care Business Success Podcast. I'm your host, Julio Tomei, and this is episode number 138, entitled, Is It Spring Yet? Things to Plan Out Right from the Start. Well, hello, everybody, and thanks again for joining me this week on another episode of the Lawn Care Business Success Podcast. I really appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week and downloading those episodes, as well as for the questions, the comments, the feedback that you guys have been sending through. It really is fantastic. There has been a bit of an influx in reviews lately on iTunes, which again, like I say, is fantastic. I appreciate the amount of time that it takes you guys to go through that process and to leave those reviews. And as well for just that feedback in general. It is probably the single most important thing that you guys can do to help the podcast be found. It adds that social proof to let other people searching those podcast directories, and they stumble upon the show, to see those reviews and to say, yes, there is value in listening to these episodes, that, you know, according to these reviews, that people have found, useful tips and things that they can use directly in their own lawn care businesses. So that's why it is actually, very important to, support content creators, podcast creators, by taking that extra step in leaving those reviews. On another note, the YouTube channel for Lawn Care Business Success has, as of this date, passed the 1,000 subscriber mark. So I thank everybody who has taken the time out to support the channel and support my effort in creating video content to supplement the podcast, for taking that time and effort to go out and subscribe to the YouTube channel. As most of you guys may have heard, YouTube did change the YouTube Partner Program rules and made it so that YouTube channels, regardless of their partner status, if they didn't have at least 4,000 watched hours on their channel in the past year, as well as 1,000 subscribers, that they would lose their AdSense revenue. So basically, this is the bit of money that we earn when we create YouTube videos based on that little ad that plays at the beginning of the YouTube videos, or some YouTubers will put ads throughout their YouTube videos, which I find extremely annoying. But the little 3-second ad at the beginning of the or skippable ad that lets you skip the ad before the video plays is what I have always used and have found in my own viewing of other people's channels is tolerable, to be able to watch that little bit and then get to that 3-second mark and then be able to skip and get onto the video. So that's what I've always used. And, as a YouTube content creator, having that enabled, it gives us a little bit of revenue, a few cents per video, that at the end of the month, adds up to a few bucks, and I use to reinvest into the content that I create. Now, on the YouTube side, I actually haven't invested any of the money that I've earned over the past 3 years with the channel. I've just let it sit there in my AdSense account. I've never cashed out. And my hope for that part of it is to, at least initially, is to get enough revenue built up to buy myself a new DSLR camera for the channel to be able to create more content. I do everything currently on my iPhone. All the videos that you see are done on my iPhone. Of course, this can be a little bit of an issue. Not so bad here in the wintertime, but once the season picks up and the phone is ringing all the time, it makes it very difficult to record videos on a phone when the phone is constantly being interrupted with phone calls. So I want to, get a dedicated camera that I can use for the YouTube videos. So that's my plan with the AdSense there. On the other side, with affiliate links and all of that, with you guys that have been supporting me through there, as well as the podcast t-shirts that I put out. If some of you guys are not familiar, I put out a line of basically merch, as they call it, for the podcast. So a line of t-shirts available in different colors that have there's one with the podcast logo and then a bunch with different sayings and stuff on them. You may have seen me wearing them in the YouTube videos, and that those t-shirts are for sale directly through Amazon. With free shipping for Prime members, and basically it's a print-on-demand service through Amazon. Amazon will, when somebody orders a shirt, they make them up, they ship them off, and I get a percentage of each sale of each shirt. And again, things like that, as well as the regular Amazon affiliate links that I put, maybe links to products I've reviewed and all that sort of stuff. All go back into reinvesting into the channel. So, you guys can directly contribute if you find value in the content that I create. It's another great way to give back is just to use those affiliate links, buy a podcast t-shirt, and just do that sort of stuff. The Amazon is fantastic. It's actually great that Amazon does this for content creators, that they let them earn affiliate income off of recommendations, because, if you think about it, most people shop on Amazon anyways, and it doesn't cost you anything extra. It's not costing you anything to support the show when you make purchases through the Amazon affiliate link. It takes you through to the Amazon store. You shop as you normally do, whether it's the products that have been recommended by me, or you go on to shop for other items while you're on the Amazon store. As long as you went through that Amazon affiliate link, for a period of a few hours after you click that link, anything that you buy on Amazon, I get a percentage of. So Amazon basically kicks back a percentage of their profit on that thing to me for you going through my affiliate link. So that, like I said, is fantastic that Amazon does that, and it's a great way to support the content creators that you do enjoy. A lot of guys out there will create courses and things like that, online courses for lawn mowing or landscaping businesses and things like that. And that's fine. I have no issues with that. It's a solid way to do it, to sort of get compensated back for the amount of time and effort it takes for sharing all of the content that we create. But it's just not for me. I've always from day one said that, all of the information that I can provide, all of my past experiences in my business, whether it's teaching you things that work or teaches you things that didn't work, for me in my particular business, in my area, I've always wanted to keep that free and keep that as a, no barriers between somebody who needs that information, or that motivation or inspiration to start their own lawn care business, and have it, no barriers for that, no paywalls or anything like that. And always just on the thinking that, if the value or the content that I create for you guys is valuable enough that it helps you out, that you see positive differences, that it gives you the motivation to start your own business, that you use some of the tips that I've talked about and you see results, that the law of reciprocity will kick in, and that you will feel like you want to give back to me in that sort of sense. And like I said, the affiliate links are just a fantastic way to do that, because you're directly helping monetarily the podcast and helping me pay those bills for website hosting, media hosting, buying new equipment, things like that, to be able to create more and better content. But with affiliate links, it doesn't actually cost you anything, because you're getting the items you're buying anyways, and you're getting that you're giving that little bit of percentage to me, or Amazon is giving that percentage to me. With things like the podcast t-shirts, like I said, another great way, because you're not only giving me that affiliate sort of income and that percentage of the sale of that t-shirt to help support the show, but then you're also wearing that t-shirt, which of course is a bit of pride for me too, that you guys would think that highly of the content that I create, that you would wear the t-shirts and go with that. So that is another fantastic way that you guys can support the show. And of course, if you do buy a t-shirt, I would love to see a photo of it. You can, direct message me a photo, or email me a photo, or if you're on social media, on Instagram or something like that, of course, tag me in your photo if you're putting up a photo of you wearing one of the Lawn Care Business Success t-shirts. That would be fantastic. Another neat change to the whole affiliate stuff is that Amazon has created these new sort of affiliate stores. So we have one set up at amazon.com/shop/lawn care business success. So basically it's a storefront for Amazon that I get to organize the products that are on that page. And, it's just like an Amazon page. It has the search window. You can search from there and go on to, shop on Amazon. But on that first page that you land on, it basically has my catalog of, podcast t-shirts, as well as a bunch of the products that I use in my own lawn care business. Products that I've talked about and reviewed on the podcast are all linked there if you're looking for something directly lawn care related that we've talked about on the show. So enough about all that, but like I said, I just wanted to talk about that, and thank you guys who have been supporting me through the affiliate links, because like I say, there's been a bit of an influx there as well this past month for Amazon affiliate stuff. So I really thank you guys for that. It's just a few dollars, but every bit counts. And like I say, I put it all towards creating new content for you guys. On the YouTube side, like I said, they changed those partner rules. We made the 1,000 subscriber mark. I think I started out when they made that announcement at about 650 or so subscribers, and needed about 350 subscribers within a month to make that. I had the watch hours, I just didn't have the subscribers enough to continue. And I was able to, through creating new content, as well as reaching out to my email list, those of you in the Lawn Care Nation email list, and get you guys, as well as posting on Instagram about it. I was able to increase my subs organically like that, about 200 or so subs. And then I had a really nice surprise last week. I was actually traveling with the family. It was a long weekend. We were in the United States. I didn't actually have phone service. And little did I know that Brian's Lawn Maintenance had taken it upon himself to reach out in a video that he made to his audience on snow plowing, and he, told them to go and subscribe to my channel to help me get to that 1,000. I actually crossed the border back into Canada in the evening that day, and my phone regained service from the carrier here in Canada, and it lit up like a Christmas tree. There was, notification out of notification of people subscribing to my channel, and within a 24-hour period, the channel surpassed the 1,000 subscriber mark, and that shout out from Brian's Lawn Maintenance, I think it got me in that 24 hours about 200 subs. So that was really fantastic. I really do appreciate Brian for doing that and going out his way. He didn't need to do that. But it just made it a lot easier for me. I had a week to go then at that point, and had already made that 1,000 sub mark. So that is fantastic. So look for, actually, I'm recording this on Monday, February 19th. The deadline for that new YouTube rules to go into effect are the day that this podcast is being released, on Tuesday. Assuming that my channel stays above the 1,000 for this week, for the 20th of February, then on the 21st of February, I mentioned on social media that I would be, in an effort of before Brian's his shout out, in trying to get people to subscribe, incentivize people to subscribe. I said that I would release the video of my trailer being stolen. You guys have heard this on the podcast, the story of my trailer being stolen. I've never shared the security video footage of it being stolen. And it still sort of pains me to watch it, sort of still a knife in the side, when I watch it and see how easily they, came creeping around and broke the locks, and basically with no regard for noise or anything. They just hooked up the trailer and left. So I said I would release this video on Wednesday, the day after the YouTube rules go into effect, assuming that I'm over that 1,000 mark, which, as of right now I am. So as long as that stays for that Tuesday and continues on, then look out for that video for Wednesday being released, where you can see the actual video security footage of my trailer being stolen on that July morning 2015, where, a lot of what you've heard on this podcast was all from that evening, and you can see it on the video. Also, I said that I would, one of my listeners of the podcast reached out to me and donated generously a 8-page PDF of a employee handbook that he had created. He said that he used to work for another company where that's what he did, was he created the employee handbooks. And then when he started, I guess, his lawn care company, he made an employee handbook for himself, for his own business, and he donated it to me to use as I saw fit. He said I could keep it for myself, or if I wanted to distribute it freely and give it away to listeners, that I would be able to do that as well. So I decided to add that also as an incentive, that if I hit that 1,000 subscriber mark on YouTube, that I would release that 8-page employee handbook. Like I said in one of my Instagram posts, it is very well written, and I will release it in PDF form on the Wednesday as well. I'll put a link to it on Instagram, as well as on my website of where you can find it. I'll put that link on the resources page of my website. So you'll be able to go to lawncarebusinesssuccess.com/resources, and the link will be there to download that 8-page employee handbook. I'll leave it up there on the website as a thank you for those who have subscribed to my channel for 1 week, so from Wednesday until the following Wednesday, and then I will take it down, and then it will be available only to those who are on the mailing list. Something you guys may not know. So when you join the mailing list at lawncarebusinesssuccess.com, you instantly get access to a 8-page landscape maintenance contract PDF again that you can modify it. You can use it in your own lawn care business. But those who join the mailing list, I also have other downloads that I make available. And every time I send out a newsletter or something like that, at the bottom of the newsletter, there is another link to that landscape maintenance contract if you need to download it again. But there's also a link to some other downloads. So I will put this employee handbook ongoing after that initial 1 week where it's open to anybody to download who may not want to join the mailing list, but who subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'll make it available on the website for 1 week publicly. And then after that 1 week, then it will be available to those who join the mailing list only. So look forward to that on Wednesday. Those two items coming out, the video on YouTube of my trailer being stolen and the download of the employee handbook. So again, just want to thank all of you guys for the support thus far, and I'm going to play the podcast announcements, and then we'll get into this week's episode right after this, so stay tuned. Hey guys, if you have any questions or comments about the show, I'd love to hear from you. You can head on over to lawncarebusinesssuccess.com/contact. And while you're there, why not join my mailing list and get access to a free PDF document of a landscape maintenance contract you can feel free to copy and use in your own business. For you Instagram users out there, be sure to follow me at Lawn Care Business Success. And if you haven't checked out my videos yet, well, what are you waiting for? Be sure to subscribe to the Lawn Care Business Success YouTube channel. Now, I know you guys love listening to audio while you work as much as I do, so I've partnered up with Audible to offer you guys a free 30-day trial and 2 free audiobooks of your choice. There's no long-term commitments, and you can cancel anytime. And get this, even if you cancel during your free trial period, you still get to keep the 2 free audiobooks. It's a great way to try the service and to see if Audible is right for you. So why not give it a try? Head on over to lawncarebusinesssuccess.com/audible. Now back to the show. Okay, so before the podcast announcements there, I was talking a bit about the support and affiliate links and all that stuff, you guys supporting me. But the meat and potatoes, you could say, of this episode is here in the second half. And it's, the title of this episode is It Spring Yet? Things to Plan Right from the Start. Now, this time of year can be pretty exciting for people, especially if this is your first year going into business. And if you're a veteran, and you have winters off, if you're not in an area where you're working all year long, this time of year can get kind of antsy because the weather can be playing tricks on you like it is with me right now, where, 1 week it feels like spring, it's really warm, the flowers like crocuses are popping out of the ground, and then the snow hits and we get snow all of a sudden, and it lasts about a day, and temperatures warm up, the snow melts all on its own, we get another few days of nice weather, and then on Sunday it snowed again, and everything's blanketed in snow again. It's starting to warm up, so it's, Mother Nature's playing a trick on us here, which can be quite frustrating. I put out a picture today, so if you're listening to this on the day that the episode is released, this would have been yesterday's Instagram photo of the lawns around here. You can see how tall the grass is. It's poking out through the snow, and it's ready for a mow, basically. But there's snow on the ground, and even with the snow melting, we've had so much rain as well, so much heavy rain, that the ground is very saturated. So it actually makes like a squishy, watery sound. If you look down at your feet, every step you take, you can see water squirting out around your shoes. So still a couple weeks away before that sort of settles down and we can get on to mowing, but it's getting very, very close. So one of the things I wanted to talk about in this episode to give you guys value, especially those of you who are just starting out, maybe your first season here, is that I want to give you guys actionable content that you guys can, really work on. I'm assuming, why you listen to a podcast like this or why you would go and watch YouTube videos is to give yourself an advantage, give yourself some of that background information into the business and save yourself from the same mistakes that people have who have come before you have made. So that's what this episode is all about. You can get taken away and swept away, in the beginning of spring with all of the excitement, with all of the work coming in. And it's quick to forget that winter is on its way. Now, this may sound funny because you're thinking, what are you talking about? Winter is on its way. We're just getting over winter right now. Spring is not even here yet. It's, just around the corner and you're already talking about winter again. Well, when you're a new business, a new lawn care business, winter, depending on where you are, there can be varying degrees of how severe your winter is, and whether the work stops for you or whether you are in a more mild climate where you're allowed to work and able to work throughout the season. Where I am, everything sort of lawn care, landscaping as far as maintenance goes basically shuts down unless you're into snow removal, and where I am, that's hit or miss. So there's no guaranteeing. That's basically like gravy on top of the season if you decide to do it. But you cannot count on it where, I'm from. That may be different from where you guys are from. It may be a regular occurrence every year where you get hammered with snow, and that's just a part of life. So when I'm talking about winter is coming, for you new guys out there starting out, you need to start planning ahead right from day one. Even before that, right before, you even start mowing your first lawn of your new business, you have to start thinking about next winter and getting that winter fund ready. So what I mean about this is that the first few years that I was in business, I didn't do any of this, actually for the first 2 years. And then I found myself in a struggle those first 2 winters because I hadn't planned. I didn't know. Nobody told me that I should be putting money aside. Now, one of the things that I do when I'm here mowing lawns is I have to collect the sales tax on the lawns I mow. So I have to collect a 5% GST or goods and services tax on my lawn mowing service. So everyone whose lawn I mow, everything I do gets 5% tax charged on that. That customer pays me the full price of the mowing plus the tax. I am essentially an agent of the government collecting that tax on the government's behalf. Now, the government doesn't require me to remit that tax back right away. There's certain periods of the year, quarterly, sometimes yearly, depending on your business structure, that you are required to pay that tax that you've been collecting back to the government. The biggest mistake that I see from companies is that they just collect all of the money that they've billed out, including that tax, and it all goes into one account. And throughout the year, they're buying new equipment, they're paying bills, they're, paying themselves, buying things for themselves or family, putting food on the table, all that stuff, and they're not keeping track of that tax. And you have to remember that that's not your money. It was never your money right from day one. You're just an agent of the government collecting it. So my number one tip, and this will go into as well income tax, which is the other part of it, is that you need to set up separate bank accounts for that stuff. So what I do is I have my main business account, but attached to my business account, I've got a couple of different sub accounts, which are directly attached, but not in my main sort of checking account for the business. So when a customer, pays me when I'm billing their credit card, it can sometimes be the next day that money gets deposited. Sometimes it can take, 2 or 3 days, depending on if it's a long weekend or, when it was billed. So what I do is I immediately, because I've always tried to keep a balance, of course, in my checking account. So when I bill a customer or customers at the end of the month, I look at that amount that I collected for all of the customers in total in tax for the government, and I immediately transfer that same amount out of my checking account of the business account, and I transfer it into a tax holding account. And then a few days later, when, the actual deposits come through for the credit card fees or credit card, through the credit card merchant account for all of those credit cards that I billed, then I just let that directly go back into my checking account, and it balances off the money that I had initially, transferred. Now, I found this to be the easiest thing because then I don't have to worry about going back a couple days later and then doing the transfer at that time. I just do it right away. As soon as I'm billing, even though I'm not getting paid for a few days, I just take it out of my, the balance of the business account and put it into that tax withholding account, and then it goes. Now, I do the exact same thing as well. Now, this one is a bit harder to swallow because I do my income tax as well. Now, of course, I don't know what my income tax is going to be from year to year, but I have a relative idea based on the past few years of what I've had to remit for income tax. Now, if you're working a regular job, collecting a regular paycheck, you know that this is deducted off of each and every paycheck that you get, paid. And at the end of the year, you do your finances and you do your taxes, and sometimes you have to pay a little bit more if, the amount taken off of your paychecks each week wasn't enough to cover your actual bill. And sometimes you get a refund if it too much was deducted off of your paychecks throughout the year and you don't actually owe that much. Well, when you're a self-employed business, this doesn't happen. You're getting paid from your customers, you're putting it into your account, and that's it. You're doing your taxes at the end of the year and having to figure out your income tax portion. So what I do is basically I look at my past few years and get an estimate of, basically the average that I've had to remit each and every year in taxes, and you get a pretty close to similar number each year, and sometimes also I'll just round that up and figure out what that percentage is of my total income each year. So then from there, what I do is I will then deduct that percentage. And like I say, I like to round it up to make sure that, I've covered all my bases. So I'll take off a big percentage each month when I bill those clients. And like I say, I don't even wait until the actual payments come through to me. I just take it out of the balance that I already have in my account, along with the taxes that I've collected, and I transfer that amount as well. And like I say, it's a bit of a harder pill to swallow because it can be a pretty large amount. And because I'm rounding up, to make sure that, I'm always covered. Now, I don't mind rounding up because, like I say, it just goes into account. I know the money's not going anywhere. I'm not remitting that, income tax right to the government right away. It's, waiting until tax time. So the money is mine. It's in my account. Unlike the taxes that I collect, sales taxes, where that money right away, that's not my money. That's the government's money. But with the income tax, that is my money. I do have to remit it, but we don't know the set amount yet. So I like to round it up. I put it aside so that come tax time, when I'm doing my income taxes, again, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about, where's that money going to come from? I've seen and talked to many people over the years where they weren't doing this. And like I said, even myself in the first few years, first couple of years, where I was not doing this as well, and come tax time, then it's like, okay, now I need to come up with this much money. And I've been, spending money on stuff, thinking I've got all this money in the bank, not thinking about the taxes and the income taxes that I would have to eventually pay. And then you find yourself either having to borrow money or, take out your line of credit or something like that to get that money to the government so that they're not putting some crazy penalties on you. So this is something that is imperative that you guys must do, is to figure out what it is that you need to do. Is there sales taxes that you need to collect? Then you need to put that aside right away. As soon as you're billing those clients, if you're billing them weekly or monthly or whatever you're doing, you need to, or if you're doing it daily, then, do it daily if you have to. Whatever is the most comfortable for you to keep yourself disciplined in the habit of doing it, then you want to do that. Same with your income taxes. You want to figure out that sort of thing. Are you taking out a big percentage? Are you putting that aside, making sure so that that's not in your daily account that you see and that you have access to spend and all that sort of stuff, because that's where it gets dangerous, is when you start to see that you've got this big balance, but not thinking ahead. Now, the other part of that, like I said, at the top here was talking about, spring is not here yet, but I'm already thinking about next winter. And that's the winter fund. So you're knowing right from day one, right from the very first mow that you're doing, you got a brand new business that, if you're charging $30 plus tax for a mow, that that plus tax part is going into that separate account. That a percentage, whatever it is that you figure it to be, for income tax, you're taking off right off the top there, and it's going into that separate account. And then you're going to figure out what it is that you need to survive over the winter, whether it's 4 months, 5 months, whatever your winter season is. What is the, absolute minimum amount of money that you would need to get by, and you want to figure that out, and have that as a baseline for your winter fund. The more you can afford over that amount, then you absolutely want to do that as well. But you want to know what the absolute minimum is that you need to survive in the wintertime, to get by and pay all of your bills. And to be able to, of course, put food on the table and all that sort of stuff. And you want to keep that in your mind and start from day one, taking that off of that mowing price. So, a $30 mow plus tax, you're taking off the plus tax, putting that aside, you're taking off that percentage that you're thinking about for your income tax, you're taking off another percentage that you figured for your winter fund. Now, you don't have to do this as far as, individually. Like I said, for each, particular mow, for me, like I say, I bill at the end of each month. So I just do it off of the sum total of whatever the, total income was for that month. So, if I've made, however much money that month, all of the taxes that were collected get, immediately transferred over to that tax account. Then of what's left, I will take a percentage of whatever I've figured out to be, based on the past years of income tax. Now, this will be harder if this is your first season, but you still want to be taking something off, figure out what, the personal tax rate is, and kind of base it on that. And remove that each month, that percentage of your income. And like I say, that can be a hard pill to swallow because depending on the month, some months it's not too bad if it's a bit of a slower month, like in the summertime when I may be only mowing every 2 weeks, and there's no fertilizers or things going on. That can be a smaller amount. But in the spring here where it's gung ho, aerations, fertilizers, moss control, all the mowing is starting. You're doing lawn renos and top dressing and all that stuff. It can be quite a big amount that you're removing because it's all based on percentage. and putting aside. But I don't worry about it. I just put it aside, and what's left in that checking account, then I know is, okay, this is what I can live off of now, right now, as I'm going off of, this is what we buy the groceries with. This is what, all that sort of thing. And then of course that winter fund portion as well, that you take off, and you make sure you have enough, for that as well. So just something, like I said, that, if I had one important tip for you guys to follow, that would be it. If you're starting out, is to remember that, yes, spring is coming. Yes, you're gonna, at times be completely loaded down with work. Sometimes more work than you can even handle. I've used the analogy that, come, around springtime, when I'm in my truck and trailer and I'm doing a job on one, house, I may jump in the truck and start driving away. And, you have homeowners coming out, trying to wave you down. And I always make the joke that I feel like the ice cream man, for, adults, where you would see, when you're a little kid, you see the ice cream truck, go by, and all the little kids that are playing in the neighborhood hear the music and they run out. I always make the joke that I feel like the ice cream man for the homeowners, because I drive down the street and people are coming up their driveways. They see my truck and trailer and they're flagging me down, looking for quotes on stuff and asking me questions about their landscapes and things like that. And it can be easy to forget that, that will dry up. Once the weather starts to, turn back to the winter, then that work will dry out. And you want to make sure that you prepared yourself through those good times of the season, to make sure you're ready for when things are not so good, so that you can live to make it another season. For me, I've been fortunate enough, like I say, I'm starting my 13th season here in 2018, my 13th year being self-employed, my 13th year where lawn care has been my only job, the only paycheck that I have collected, on my part for the family income. Of course, my wife has a job, and she works as well. But as far as my portion of the income goes, it's been 13 years of doing lawn care this season and not being employed by someone else. The last job that I held was, if you guys heard the story about me talking about working for a vehicle emission station, where we would test the exhaust emissions of vehicles, to make sure they complied with environmental sort of standards and stuff that the government put out. That's what I was doing. I would drive people's cars, test their emissions, and basically give them a pass or fail. And this would either allow them to reinsure their vehicle for another year, to allow them to drive their vehicle, get new licenses and stuff for their vehicle for the next following year. If their car failed, then they weren't able to insure the vehicle, which meant they weren't allowed to drive their car for that next year, until the repairs were done and the vehicle retested. So that was, and I told the story about how when my wife was going to have birth with her second baby, and I had requested time off for that, when the time came after a few months that, they told me that I couldn't take that time off. And I said to myself that I would never, ever work for another person again, that I would never work another job again, that I would be self-employed from then on out. And, it's been 13 years since that job. And I have, fortunate enough to say that, it's been a bit of hard work at times. But I've, so far have been able to stay true with that, and be self-employed these last 13 years. So that's basically it for this one, guys. I hope you guys found value in that, particularly if you are a new business just starting out. This is your first season. Of course, with the podcast, I get a lot of listeners like that email me saying that this will be their first year each and every spring. So like I said, a very important piece to not get swept up in the season and with all the influx of work that you may be getting, but to also think to the future, to when that work will inevitably dry up, because this is a seasonal business. So to always think of that, and whatever your situation is, it may not be as dire as mine as far as, all work sort of cuts out and there's not much snow to do in the winter. You may be in an area where things slow down, but you continue to work throughout the year, whereas you might not need to make as drastic of, say the winter fund portion of it, but you still need to keep that income tax and tax collected portion set aside, regardless of the winter fund portion, depending on the situation and the geographical area of where you work. So that's it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Here's to wishing you guys all overwhelming success and freedom in your lawn care business. Bye for now.